short membership meeting where we are going to be voting on our officers and our board members, give you a quick rundown of all the things we've been up to the past year, what we've got going up next year. But this gardening seminar, we're so excited. We have a lot of master gardeners here, a lot of okay. And so what I wanted to let you know is we're taking memberships. It's time to renew your membership for 2025. It's $20 per person, $30 a couple, or really as much as you want to spend. We'll go up, there's no limit. And so we've got raffles for prizes on the table that are donated by people here. We've got magnolias and coneflowers, baskets. Want to give a special thank you to our sponsor for this event, which is Coldwell Banker Allied Real Estate. And I want to let you know, halfway through when we break for our meeting, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. That's when we're going to have walking tours of Stonewall Manor. It's sort of a self-guided tour. And there are bathrooms inside. So you go inside, there are some bathrooms to use. So we're going to get started. First we have Rocky Cooper. He has been a beekeeper for 6 years. He's with the Wilson County Beekeepers Association. He works with Saponi Creek Apiary, and he maintains 15 local hives. Let's welcome Rocky.
I'm going to just talk a little bit about backyard beekeeping and what you have to do to get set up and things like that.
Can y'all hear okay?
When I first retired, I wanted to keep bees, and I had been around it when I was younger. My uncle kept bees, but I didn't have a bee suit. He wouldn't let me out of the truck because he knew if I got stung, he was going to have to deal with my mother. So I went out to Saponi Creek and talked to Dave Bradley when I retired, and I'd known him all my life, and he pointed me to a bee school in Wilson. And my wife and I went and took the school, and he said, go take the school and then come back and tell me if that's what you want to do. So we did, and we started with 2 hives. We live on a farm on Old Spring Up Road, and we started with 2 hives, and we lost one the first year, and next year we put in another one and started catching swarms and things like that. And long story short, I've had up to 23 hives. That's too many. My wife finally looked at me one day and said, you retired because you were tired of working and you've created a job. So 12 to 15 is manageable. 1 or 2, I would suggest if you do it, get 2 because you have a comparison to do then, but a couple of hives and you can pollinate your garden and get enough honey for your family and all of that, and then if you got leftovers, sell it or give it away. Don't give it away, sell it. But it's something that's very intriguing to me. Bees are extremely smart, and so you start out with equipment. The best way to describe it to somebody, and everybody needs to know it, beekeeping is not an inexpensive hobby. If you put in a hive of bees and you have nothing, you can buy a hive, your protection equipment, tools like a hive tool and a smoker and things like that. You can drop about $750 right off the bat. So it's not something that's really inexpensive. But all of your costs are up front. Your job then is to keep your bees there, and if you can keep them over the winter, they keep increasing in size. You can start catching swarms. You can start splitting hives and things like that. So unless you buy new equipment or keep adding bees, you're not going to have any more real cost into the thing. So we started out, like I say, with 2 and have expanded. So I was throwing away wax. My intention was honey, and there are 3 real things that you have to decide in beekeeping. Are you going to do it for pollination? Are you going to do it for honey? Or are you going to do it to raise bees? And raising bees meaning increase the population of bees and then sell off bees to other people. I knew I wanted to do honey. My wife thought I was crazy because she didn't like honey, but she grew up in Florida, and the honey she had was a Walmart Bear. It's totally different. And if you don't believe it, we have a table over there, and I got honey that you can taste, and you'll be blown away the difference in the taste. But so we now have it where we cook with it and do all kinds of things with it. So but getting back to beekeeping started when the settlers came over, and honeybees are not native to the United States. Most of them are Italian bees. There are Russians, which is a cross of bees, mainly Italians and a hybrid strain. And then there's a Carnolian that is kind of another popular one around here. But 95% of the bees that you would buy or get around here can be Italian bees. So there's no native bee. And they do like open type flowers to pollinate on. Squash, zucchini, cucumbers, things like that. First year we had 2 hives at the house. We had a 4x4 bed of cucumbers that we were used to getting 3 to 5 cucumbers a week off of. We started getting anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds every 4 days because of the bees. When you go out and water in the morning, you have to kind of spritz the bed to run them out of the bed so you don't drown the bees. They get up early and move around, so it's not rocket science. I mean, it's a lot of common sense. But beekeeping, since 1852, the most common hive that's used today is a Langstroth hive, and it was invented by a Reverend Lorenzo Langstroth. And the reason that it was done was most hives, when you started out, they just put a starter strip in it and let the bees draw comb, and that's usually what's called a top bar hive now. And the comb is usually wonky and it doesn't have any support to it, so when you get a lot of honey in it, it starts to sag, sometimes breaks, and you lose all your stuff. The big reason that he did what he did was this, a movable frame. So you can, instead of having to try to wrangle a bar out or cut off something, there are either 8 or 10 of these in a box. And so you can then pull it out, look at it, inspect it, put it back in, go right down the line. And so the actual box and the method of doing it since 1852 really hasn't changed. What has changed is now you have a more sturdy material. This is a plastic material that has beeswax on it, and so the bees will take right to it. And that one's new. This comb has been drawn out, and this one actually has pollen stored in it where you can see where they've had it. It had honey up in the, they usually put honey in the top corner up here, and then the queen would lay all in here. So yeah, you can pass it around if you like. And then this frame, smaller size frame, but this is what goes into a either medium or shallow box. And this is the shallow frame here, and this is the frames that you would pull and so-called steal the honey out of the hive. So it would all come out of here. Typically you can put a queen excluder on here or not, but bees work up, and so a lot of times in the late summer the queen might get up here and lay. So a lot of people use queen excluders in to keep it from going up there so you don't have brood in your honey. It's grown even more. There are 3 types of bees in the hive. You have one queen, you're going to have worker bees, which are all females, and drones, which are all males. The only thing the drone does is mate with the queen. So guess what, guys? We get drones this time of year. They're hatching like crazy, and the 1st of October, they kick us out. There's no drones in the wintertime. They kill all the males. You can walk out in front of a hive and they just brush them out. They have no use. They're a detriment to the hive because all they do is eat. So all of the fertilization happens out of the hive, and so they just kill them off for the winter, and then they start laying drones again in the spring. But this drone is a bigger sale, and they have put this in more as a integrated pest management tool now, because the varroa mite that came over from Europe in the late 80s was, and still is, the biggest threat to bee colonies around, and there are treatments for it, but not a curable treatment. And what we found is that you have to vary your treatments because over a period of time they develop an immunity to it. So that's where we've had to go with that. So this is a new tool that is used to control the drone thing. A queen will hatch in 16 days, a worker bee will hatch in 21 days, and a drone will hatch in 26 to 28 days. So there's about 1,500 cells on either side of that thing, and you have to pull this thing out, put it in the freezer for a day, and then you can put it right back in the hive, and they'll clean it up and do it all over again. I got a friend that has rabbits and chickens, and he freezes it and sits it out there. The chickens and the rabbits clean it up. He puts it right back in the hive. So it's an easy way of pest management. Bees, you purchase bees. So like this time of the year, people are buying bees. For instance, the next 3 weekends, Saponi Creek will be getting bees, and they're all pre-ordered. They come out of Georgia or South Carolina, and the difference is you get a package which is 3 pounds of bees and a queen, or a nuke or nucleus colony, which is 5 frames of bees. The queen is already laying, it's got brood and honey in it, and you just transfer it into your box. And then your job the first year is to get them through the winter. So push them, try to get them built up so you can get them through the winter. If you want bees, the best thing to do is to take a class or get a good book. Stay off the internet. The internet is, they're going to put the best video they have up there, and most of the time you might be looking at a guy in San Diego, California that is in a dry climate, and then you're sitting here with 90% humidity in the middle of summer. It ain't the same, folks. It ain't the same. So the internet is bad, but there are 3 or 4 bee books. Beekeeping for Dummies is real good. This one we use for our bee school. We just had a bee school in Wilson last weekend, and this is the book that the state uses for their certification testing. So a lot of good reference things come out of this book. And then if you're just going to do backyard stuff, this is a really good book. But the best thing to do is take a class. Like I say, I was directed to Wilson because Nash County doesn't have a bee club. Wilson has a really active one. We have an apiary with 12 hives. We are raising 40 hives right now to take to Haywood County for replacement of bees that they lost during the hurricane. We manage 3 hives at Imagination Station in Wilson. And now we're getting ready to help Wilson Community College set up. They're going to start a program. They're actually having a bee school, starts April 15th. And they have a new agribusiness department, and they're going to have a beekeeping class in that, and you actually down the road, not this year, but down the road, you'll be able to get an hour's college credit for it through continuing education. So, there's a lot to do with it. You would enjoy it having it if you had one hive. Like I say, you'd get enough honey and stuff that you could supply yourself and have for family, friends, whatever like that. That's kind of a crash course. It's a one-day beekeeping school doesn't even do it all. So just what my wife and I make. She makes soaps and lotions and things. Beeswax and honey are really good for your skin. She started researching stuff and doing that. We actually have a lotion thing over there that a lady purchased one that was going through chemotherapy, and she called her about a month later, and she said, I got all these high-powered, expensive drugs, and they don't touch it, and this little $6 tin is doing the trick on my sores and stuff from chemo. So, we get a lot of feedback like that. She makes soaps that have honey and beeswax and things like that in them. So Honey is antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial. It's good for your gut health. It's good for inflammatory issues. It's just, and if it's harvested right, it'll never go bad. They found honey in the Egyptian tombs. Honey may crystallize, and any natural honey will. Cotton is a big crop that they pollinate off of around here, and the glucose and fructose content of cotton is like this. There's no balance in it, so that kind of honey tends to crystallize quick. There's always a joke about canola. There's a lot of that being grown around lately, and there's a joke that that'll crystallize in the frame in the hive. It's out of balance with it, but.
Two questions. So you said glucose and fructose, do they need to be pretty much even for the honey not to crystallize?
Yeah.
And the other question is, how do you get bees through the winter?
How do you get bees through the winter?
Yeah.
Feed them.
Sorry?
Feed them.
Oh, feed them. Okay.
Yep. You try to in the fall after the honey flow, we feed them sugar water, and they can store that up until they get to where they can cap it and all that, and they store that and use it for reserves in the winter. If they don't have enough stores, they make a thing. I describe it as an oversized Pop-Tart. It's a patty about that long, and it's got protein and carbohydrates in it, and you cut that and lay it on the top bars of the hive, and the bees will go up and eat it. They can eat it to stay alive, but they can't store it. And so you'll know when they have eaten it because there's a sheet of wax paper down under it, and they pull it out of the front of the hive. And my hives look like trash dumps sometimes out in front, where they pulling the paper out and all that. So the biggest mistake most people lose bees in the wintertime because they never feed them. They shut them up in the fall and say, I'm done. And no, you're not. You'll be buying bees next spring. Right, Alan? He's had bees and he knows what I'm talking about right now. Yes?
Rocky, if you feed them sugar water, does it matter if it's cane sugar or beet sugar?
White sugar. White sugar. The dark sugar and all that, it produces an enzyme that the bees can't tolerate. So, white sugar used to be cheap, it's not anymore. And you don't boil it. I mean, we typically will heat the water to make sugar melt faster, but you don't boil it. If you boil the water and then put sugar in it, it produces an enzyme, something like that, that the bees can't tolerate. Yes?
You might have already said this, but what time of year is best to start a bee colony?
Now.
Right now?
Now, yes. Like I say, Saponi Creek's getting bees next week and 2 weekends after that, and they all have to be pre-ordered. And then people are starting to catch swarms. I saw on the internet yesterday where someone caught a swarm, and then you can, but you're going to have to push them to get them through the winter. And then after that, again, I got like three pints of honey the first year, and then I went to about 2 5-gallon buckets, and then the third year I got 17 5-gallon buckets. Yes.
How prevalent is the disease? We keep hearing things about the bee colonies are being emaciated. How do you have a problem with it? Have you seen it in the area?
I have not had a problem with it. I lost one hive over the winter, and I pretty much knew I was going to do it when I did it. But in the late fall, I had a weaker hive, and I broke it down to a single deep and tried to baby it through the winter. And I had made it until the last cold snap that we had. That it got warm, and then they break cluster, because in the wintertime they'll get in a ball and cover the brood and all that. And they'll say a bee can actually, they get in a ball and they can fan their wings to create heat and not fly. So when it got cold that last time, it got them. And so, but then I know people, and you've seen on the news where people are having large colony loss and all that. I was talking to the guy who is a very good beekeeper, and he's the state extension specialist for cotton, Dr. Guy Collins, and he lives in Bailey. And he was telling me 2 weeks ago that he had lost about 60% of his hives. And the state inspector had been there and doesn't know why. So. Any more questions?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Well, the school, the beekeeping school,
Beekeeping tool?
yeah, the course that you talked about. School.
Oh, the school?
Yeah, the beekeeping. Yeah, we didn't get that. Where is it? Where is it located?
Wilson Community College.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be in there.
Yeah, Wilson Community College.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have requirements to sell your honey? Do you have to be inspected? How does that work?
No, ma'am, you can sell up to, I think it's 500 gallons of honey without having to have a commercial kitchen to produce it in and all that. We do it in the kitchen. You can't do it outside. If you start extracting honey outside, as soon as you start to pop a wax off of a frame, you have every bee within 2-3 miles of you over there. You can't. I take them off. They have a board they call the fume board, and you spray stuff on it, put it on there, run them down out of the box. Then I bring them to the house, and we take the blower, stand it up like this, and blow out the rest of them. And then she's standing at the front door with fly swatters when I walk in. She don't want them in the house. So, good?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.